Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here at Gamefromscratch, and today we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence in the world of game development. And I know this one is just about as polarizing as, like, say, talking about religion or politics on the internet, just generally something you don't want to do because it is a very polarizing subject. But we've got no choice today because we've got a pretty major announcement from Valve. There's about their Steam platform and the use of AI-generated content. Now, first off, if I sound a bit weird, I apologize. I have this throat thing going on, so hopefully I can get through this video. But what did Valve do? Well, way back in June of 2023, Valve started banning games on Steam that used artificial intelligence. Now, in typical Valve fashion, they never really published a public policy, at least nothing I could see. But this Reddit post went up about a game that was published and it got rejected straight out. And the response was, "Hello, we strive to ship most submitted titles to us. We cannot ship games for which the developer does not have all the necessary rights. After reviewing, we have identified intellectual property in Game Name Here, which appears to belong to one or more third parties. In particular, Game Name Here contains art assets generated by artificial intelligence that appears to be relying on copyrighted material owned by third parties. As the legal ownership of such AI-generated art is unclear, we cannot ship your game while it contains these AI-generated assets unless you can affirmatively confirm that you own the rights to all of the IP used in the data set that trained the AI to create the assets in your game. We are failing your build and will give you one opportunity to remove all content that you do not have the full rights to from your build. If you fail to remove all such content, we will not be able to ship your game on Steam and your app will be banned." So, improve these pieces by hand, no longer obvious signs of AI, but already flagged for AI-generated content. So even after resubmitting, it was rejected. Follow up. "Hello, thanks for your patience as we reviewed Game Name Here and took our time to better understand the AI tech used to create it. Again, we will strive to ship most titles submitted to us. We cannot ship games for which the developer does not have all the necessary rights. At this time, we are declining to distribute your game since it's unclear if the underlying AI tech used to create the assets has sufficient rights to the training data set. App credits are usually non-refundable, but we'd like to make an exception here and offer you a refund. Please confirm and we will proceed. Thanks." So basically, Steam rejected a game for using AI-driven assets. By the way, the developer does not deny that, at least on the initial release. So that was definitely a thing. Here you can see the original screenshot of the message with things bleeped out, just to prove that what was actually quoted there was verbatim for what Steam said. Well, the reason why we're talking about this policy today, first off, this kiboshed anybody using AI generation tools, things like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion, etc., for creating assets for their game, because it could just get flagged on Steam and denied on the realm that you don't particularly own the copyright protection of the data set that was used to create your asset. Well, they have changed their tune on this. So, as of today, Steam have submitted the following update. So, back in June, we shared that, well, our goal continues to be shipping as many games as possible on Steam. We needed some time to learn about the fast-moving and legally murky space of AI technology, especially given Steam's reach worldwide. By the way, this we shared part, if you find it, let me know, because I went back through their notes, especially back in June, and basically their sharing was just outright rejecting people. So there was no policy here. This was pretty typical Steam stuff. But anyways, today, after spending the last few months learning more about this space and talking with game developers, we are making changes to how we handle games that use AI technologies. This will enable us to release the vast majority of games that use it. First, we updated the content survey the developers filled out when submitting to Steam. The survey now includes a new AI disclosure section where you'll need to describe how you are using AI in the development and execution of your game. It separates AI usage in games into two broad categories. First is pre-generated, so any kind of content. Now, this is interesting. Any kind of content, art, code, sound, etc. So if you're using Copilot or any other AI assisting tools, you're going to have to go through this process, which I find interesting. And I don't think most people that were using Copilot think of their product as AI generated, but yeah, you're in the same category as Stable Diffusion and Midjourney and so on. So created with the help of AI tools during development, under the Steam distribution agreement, you promise Valve that your game will not include illegal or infringing content and that your game will be consistent with your marketing materials. In our pre-release review, we will evaluate the output of AI-generated content in your game with the same way we evaluate all non-AI content, including a check that your game meets those promises. Now, this is interesting because you're going to say that you basically what they've done is they've pushed the liability off to the developer. And I don't think they can do this, to be honest. Like, if they publish a game that has material, so let's say AI generates, well, I would use Mickey Mouse as an example, but that one's public domain now. But if it generates copyrighted material wholesale, I think they're still on the hook if they sell it. But what they're basically doing is pushing that responsibility for checking that off onto the developer. Now, we have another category here of live generated. So any kind of content created with the help of AI tools while the game is running. So in addition to following the same rules as pre-generated AI content, this comes with an additional requirement. In the content survey, you'll need to tell us what kind of guardrails you're putting on your AI to ensure it is not generating illegal content. So this would be for games that have dynamic assets. But where I find this interesting is there are a number of AI-powered dialogue tools out there, and you can't guarantee that they're not ripping off a book or a novel or something that they've trained on. So can you now use those kind of tools in your project, and you're going to have to disclose it, which is going to be interesting. So Valve will use the disclosure in our review of your game prior to release. We will also include much of your disclosure on the Steam store page for your game, so your customers will also understand how the game uses AI. This is also a really big category, because as I mentioned to start the beginning of this one, AI is a very, very polarizing topic. Now, I know, especially among developers, and I don't think quite as much among consumers, but your game is now going to be tagged as using AI. So you can actually have it. People say, I'm not buying any games using AI. And I actually use this already. So I use an image service for this particular site. For a lot of thumbnails I generate, I subscribe to it, I pay it. Artists get paid as a result. But they also have AI-generated content in there. And I just filter all of that crap out, because I don't want to use AI-generated things in thumbnails, simply because, again, I don't know that an artist is getting credited for their work, so I don't use it. It's just easy just to filter it out. Well, how many people are going to have the same attitude when it comes to picking games? Second, we're releasing a new system on Steam that allows players to report illegal content inside of games that contains live-generated AI content. Using the in-game overlays, players can easily submit a report when they encounter content that they believe should have been caught by the appropriate guardrails on AI generation. So again, they are very much pushing the responsibility here onto the developer. So if your game uses dynamic AI generation as part of it, so not pre-made assets, but literally AI generated on the fly, and it does something stupid in the future, and your users flag it, you're on the hook for that. So just one of those things to be aware of. It kind of makes using those tools a bit of a time bomb, because you're having all of the responsibility here. Just one of those things to definitely be aware of. So today's changes are the result of us improving our understanding of the landscape and risks in the space, as well as talking to game developers using AI and those building AI tools. This will allow us to be much more open to releasing games using AI technology on Steam. Now, this one is interesting, except for porn. Porn, no AI. So I don't really know specifically why, but the exception will include adult-only sexual content that is generated with live-generated AI. We are unable to release that kind of content right now. So porn, sorry, if you're in this category right here, no fully dynamic porn coming to Steam anytime soon. So one of those things to be aware of right there. So it's taken some time to figure this out, and we're sorry that it has made it harder for some game developers to make decisions around their games. We don't feel like we serve our players or developers partners by rushing the decisions and having this much complexity. We'll continue to learn from the games being submitted to Steam, the legal process around AI, and we will revise the decision when necessary. This is the big one, because there's a lot of data sets that are being litigated in court right now, and the courts haven't really decided if a data set trained on copyrighted material where they did not have permission for it, if the content that it generates is therefore in violation. Those are all going through courts right now. So we simply do not know. By the way, if you want to see a polarizing conversation, go check out the comments. The comments are they're fun. It's a fun place to be. So I know you're all going to have your own opinions, and we're going to discuss it like big boys and girls in the comments below, right? Because this is totally not a heated conversation that anybody needs to have a strong opinion one way or the other. Although, again, my summary of this straight from a developer perspective, my view is Steam is now allowing AI-generated content, and they're offloading all of the responsibility onto the developer. At the same time, they are tagging AI-generated games. I think that will have a negative ramification on sales. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to figure that one out. But the thing I do find most interesting is if you use a code generator, so if you use something like Copilot or increasingly more and more, like even if you just go on ChatGPT and get a code sample, you technically used pre-generated code, and you do need to tag it as such. And I don't know if anyone's actually going to do so, but you are needing to under these policies, and I think that's a really big deal. So let me know what you think. Do you think checking or tagging your game as using AI-generated tools tools is going to have a negative impact on sales? Do you think the end user just doesn't give a damn? And what do you think of the fact that this applies to everything, art, code, sound, etc.? And this is all AI, which is also kind of interesting because you have some AI tools out there that aren't trained off data sets. You have some music generation tools that are actually trained off of, musical theory. So they're AI generated music, but there's no copyright or violation issues in place there, but they're under this one as well. So this is a very broad tagging here, and I think probably overly broad, but it's interesting to see, and I'm wondering what you think. Comments down below, and I'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.